welcome to our Premier Challenge Finals at Pokemon Labs. This is the last match for the entire year and the season, so it's going to be very exciting. We got Andrew Weaver playing Allan Martinez. Let's get into it. So on Andrew's side, he's going to be on the left. You're going to see him with Yveltal, Stakataka, Incineroar, Victory Bell, Tapu Koko, and Groudon. And there you go. Well, Allan's going to go ahead and once again, we're going to see that Weavile, Tapu Koko, Kyogre, Ludicolo, Kartana, and Ho-Oh. Now, again, just like the past few matches we've seen today, this is going to be a Weather Wars, as Ludicolo and Victory Bell both are boosted by their partner's Weather. Both teams bringing in Tapu Koko once again.
Yeah, I took the train back.
And this is a very similar team, actually, when you look at it, to both of them have a UB, both of them have a Tapu Koko. They're all parallels. While Andrew's team does have he's locked in, but he has a bit of an advantage when it comes to the typing. Being able to launch many Precipice Blades and Fire Punches on the Allan side is definitely going to give him a definite advantage here. But Allan does have that Kyogre. It does hit a lot of Andrew's team very hard, so really, like I said, it's going to be a Weather Wars battle. It's going to come down to who has the superior plays with their restricted Hoenn legendaries. Let's find out. So like I said earlier, you're going to see Andrew on the left, Allan on the right. And we will kick things off by showing off Allan's lead of Ludicolo and Kyogre. So we will see that Ludicolo go for a possible fake out. Andrew bringing in Yveltal and Incineroar. They'll see Kyogre go first before that Yveltal and Incineroar. We also know that Ludicolo gonna carry that Swift Swim, so it will definitely be the fastest on the field, and it does have a possible fake out. In this case, Allan could go for a couple things. He could fake out either one Yveltal or Incineroar. We could see a possible Sucker Punch from that Yveltal as well onto the Kyogre to prevent that Water Spout from doing a lot of damage. And we also have the fake out on Andrew's side with Incineroar, so a lot of possible priority attacks here. As we see that fake out go onto the Yveltal, and we see that fake out from Incineroar go onto the Kyogre, so we see absolutely nothing happen that turn. Again, that Sucker Punch is a possibility for Andrew to go ahead and go for that on the Kyogre, and in hopes that he goes for a Water Spout. Ludicolo in this case has that possibility to go for either Scald or Hydro Pump onto the opposing Incineroar in the rain. That's going to do a lot of damage either way. So Andrew really needs to prepare for that and possibly lose his Incineroar. That Sucker Punch does a good amount of damage onto the opposing Kyogre, but it's not going to be enough to knock it out. A Rain Dance was shown from Allan's side as well, as the Origin Pulse takes out Andrew's Incineroar and knocks his Yveltal down to 43 HP, under 25%. Ludicolo getting that Rain Dance, expecting a possible Groudon switch in here, but it will help him out. Now, after the Groudon switches in, Andrew does know that the Rain Dance is possible. We also know that this Kyogre does have Origin Pulse. It did call that possible Sucker Punch Water Spout stopping attempt there. And Ludicolo has lost its speed, so Andrew wants that Groudon out. Not quite yet. And we're going to see that Tapu Koko come out. And either way, these two Pokemon, Groudon and Tapu Koko, are very good stops to Kyogre. Kyogre is going to get an Origin Pulse off in the sun, and Yveltal will go down to that. That leaves Andrew with just his last two Pokemon. We see that Grass Knot target that old Groudon slot. There's very little onto Tapu Koko, as Andrew is now forced to bring back that Groudon once again, as Allan still has all four of his Pokemon. So Andrew is going to have to face the rest of Allan's team with his two right here, but that isn't going to be as hard as you would expect. You do have that Tapu Koko in the electric terrain that does have a very good hit onto the Ludicolo. Partner that with the Precipice Blades from the opposing Groudon here on Andrew's side to beat the Kyogre. You know, Allan's got to really think this through, get his Pokemon in the best positions possible. And we're going to see Kartana come out to possibly take some hits here from Andrew's side. We now see that Electro Web that makes both of Allan's Pokemon slower. Despite it not doing a lot of damage, it does get that minus speed, and that will definitely benefit him very nicely on that Ludicolo. It means it won't take as much speed from an attack in the rain, possibly making Tapu Koko faster. As we see the Grass Knot target that Groudon, it will reveal its berry, which is actually the Citrus Berry, a bit unique for Groudons now in this format. And after the -1 speed from both of Allan's Pokemon, this Tapu Koko definitely the fastest. Could go for another Electro Web, could target Ludicolo or the Kartana slot, possibly anticipating a Kyogre switch-in. There's a bunch of things that Tapu Koko could do, but Kyogre is definitely going to be that real big threat in the back. If Andrew can remove that, he's got a decent shot at taking this game, as Ludicolo and Kartana at the health levels they're at right now can't really do too much. Kartana obviously does threaten the Groudon with a possible Leaf Blade, and we do see Ho-Oh come out from the right side, so either way, it's going to be a safe Thunderbolt here from Tapu Koko, or Volt Switch onto that Kartana. So Kartana will get Volt Switch, but it'll take it. We also now see that Volt Switch is most likely the main attacking move. We see that Thunder Punch on the Ho-Oh. It does paralyze it as well. Ho-Oh will eat its berry, which is that Pinch Berry. Will raise its health back up above 50%. It's the Figgy Berry to be exact. And the Leaf Blade onto this Groudon at, just over 50% is going to be enough to remove a bit. Now, this is actually very intriguing. We saw Andrew's Tapu Koko go for Volt Switch onto Kartana. That means most likely it is an Assault Vest Tapu Koko. So let's see. This Tapu Koko gets that Electro Web out onto both of Allan's Pokemon. It will do a decent amount onto Kartana and lower Ho-Oh speed. Ho-Oh not really in the best position to be taking anything anyway. It's going to go for that Sacred Fire. It's paralyzed already, but still, after the paralysis and the Electro Web, it is actually going to be able to pull through here, get that knockout on the Tapu Koko, and Allan Martinez is going to take game one of our possible, and this next game is going to be the possible final game of the year. Andrew there, he did play very well though. I want to point out the fact that Tapu Koko did reveal some information by going for Volt Switch onto the Kartana. That does mean most likely it's a bulky Tapu Koko. Allan now knows that. He was able to see that, and if he reads it correctly, he can go for that. Know that that Kyogre will not be able to remove the Tapu Koko with a Water Spout right off the bat. That's usually the main reason for Assault Vest Tapu Koko nowadays. Allan and Andrew both had those fake outs at the beginning as well. There's nothing really that can stop those fake outs. But either way, Allan can go ahead and go for the fake out onto Andrew's side, and Andrew can go ahead and go for the fake out onto Allan's side, kind of preventing anyone from moving on the first turn. You might want to stop that, try and break that cycle, but sometimes that is the safest play. And we also saw that cripple that Kyogre just a little bit, got it to the very low yellow health, so another fake out can be useful, but Allan's not going to bring out the Kyogre right away. He's going to go Weavile Kartana, which is a very smart play because you don't know what to expect. We could see a Groudon on the other side as Andrew goes for both of his restricted legendary Pokemon, Yveltal and Groudon. We see Weavile's going to go first, then it's going to be Yveltal, and then Groudon, and then Kartana fits in there somewhere. Known for being very fast, it'll most likely move before the Yveltal. So Weavile does have that Soul Fake out on the field. Can really go onto either one of Andrew's Pokemon. Yveltal possibly has that Tailwind, so that might be the more threatening Pokemon to Allan. Knowing you have that having that possible Tailwind, in some cases, having speed control gives you the game in general. So that Yveltal does not want to take that fake out damage. Is just going to go for the Protect. While we see a double Protect from Andrew's side, actually. Does not want to take any fake out damage. But the fake out was targeted on the Yveltal and the Leaf Blade coming out for the Groudon on Andrew's side. So Andrew, with that double Protect, is going to be able to scout out what Allan wants to do. Can switch into an appropriate combination to try and take those hits, if he has any. And if he thinks he could take these attacks, then just got to stay in and go for the best. You know, Yveltal, if it's carrying the Tailwind, it will have a good shot at just giving Andrew that lead right off the bat. He's going to bring in his Victory Bell as we see an Icicle Crash come on the Weavile. Will be super effective onto whatever it hits, and it one-hit KOs that Yveltal. Thanks to a critical hit. And Kartana now gets a free Sacred Sword onto this Victory Bell. It does almost a third of the damage. And that Victory Bell, it will be able to go first thanks to the sun, so it will have that advantage in speed. But there's not very much Victory Bell can do. There is possibly, if it is carrying Weather Ball, which we've seen on Andrew in the past, that could be the way to remove either one of Allan's Pokemon, depending on which one is the more threatening one. Both of them are most likely going to survive. We know that Kartana is, when coming into these games, you need to have a Focus Sash or Assault Vest to survive these Tapu Koko hits. Weavile, we saw earlier, was Focus Sash. So either way, Andrew's going to need to really double down on one of these Pokemon in an attempt to remove it. So the question for Andrew, which one's the more threatening one? Well, Allan's going to get that Weavile out and now puts in the Kyogre. So if Weather Ball does exist on this Victory Bell, which we've seen in the past on Victory Bell from Andrew, it will go to a water attack. There it is. Yeah, that is exactly. Weather Ball is going to actually attack the Kyogre instead. Doesn't do that much damage. And we see the Life Orb from the Victory Bell. We also see that Electro Web does a really good amount onto the Kyogre. Not very good on Kartana, which is to be expected. But the speed drop is what's crucial here, because Andrew now can go for anything essentially he wants. And that Kyogre and Kartana can't really do much. But that Psycho Cut coming out from Kartana on Allan's side, that is not one of the most common moves on Kartana, but sometimes it comes in clutch, like in this. Andrew now down to his last two Pokemon, and if Allan is able to remove them, then he is going to be the champion, the last champion of the year of the Premier Challenge. Andrew does have that speed advantage with Tapu Koko, though. Another Electro Web will be able to stop the Kyogre from moving. If it hits, it will knock it out. It'll also get that Kartana down to -2. You know, and in that case, you can use your Groudon to outspeed it in an attempt to get it out for good. Andrew doesn't really have much that he can do onto this Kartana. We saw the Volt Switch doesn't do that much. And with bulky Tapu Kokos, you really don't, there's not very much you can do. I mean, you can go for that if Nature's a Madness to try and have your Groudon finish the game. Andrew isn't out yet, and we're going to see that Kyogre switch out, so it does want to get that speed up into the best position possible. And Weavile now breaking that Sash if we see another Electro Web. And we're going to see a double switch from Allan's side. We're going to bring back that Ho-Oh and Weavile. Both of them at full health. They will have to deal with this Tapu Koko and Groudon. Ho-Oh going to exert pressure. And there's the Electro Web. So now they are relatively slow. It does a decent amount onto the Weavile. Ho-Oh, rather bulky, is going to take that. But it does drop the speed on both sides. But this Ho-Oh is known to carry Tailwind. And that's going to be a very important play. In that case, we have the fake out pressure from Weavile on the right side. There is either way, this is going to be kind of crucial for Andrew, but really he needs to remove this Ho-Oh more than ever. Getting rid of that Ho-Oh means that he gets rid of that Tailwind possibility, and he needs to get these Electro Webs off to have a shot at winning this match. So in this case, there's only one play that Andrew can make. And we're not going to see that fake out from Weavile, and the miss on the Ho-Oh will cost Andrew. We see the knockoff from Weavile now going to remove that item from Tapu Koko, which is the Assault Vest. Very crucial for when that Kyogre comes back in play. And Ho-Oh will go down to a Thunder Punch from the Groudon. But that Electro Web miss is unfortunate for Andrew's side. Now, in this case, if Allan has a Choice Scarf Kyogre, there really isn't anything Andrew can do at this point to avoid this, except avoid whatever attack it's coming out. If it's carrying Origin Pulse, if it's carrying Scald and targets the Groudon, then Tapu Koko will need to Electro Web. in this case, Andrew just needs to survive somehow. That's the name of the game, survival right now for Andrew. Allan does have that Kartana, which does also take out both of Andrew's Pokemon very nicely. So, in this case, we know that Kyogre, if it's faster, it's going to move faster than this Tapu Koko. And actually, Tapu Koko usually doesn't lose some of its speed in an attempt to invest more in bulk. So, Kyogre might be able to outspeed if it is faster, if it's going for a jolly nature or timid nature. Excuse me. Then, and without the Choice Scarf, it'll still be able to use that. But there's that Origin Pulse coming out. Kyogre is faster. It is not going to miss on either of Andrew's Pokemon. And Allan Martinez takes the Premier Challenge. That Weavile Kyogre combo really came in clutch. And that was possibly one of the biggest tongue twisters I've ever said. Thank you guys so much for watching. Props to Allan Martinez for taking the win. And hopefully we will see you next year for the Moon Series here at Pokemon Labs. Thanks for joining us.